It's Tuesday, May 15th. Welcome to Pastor Bob Daily. Peter from Facebook says, what is your opinion on video games like World of Warcraft, Starcraft, or Diablo? And what about games like Call of Duty or Battlefield? Should a Christian play those types of games? This is such a personal thing, isn't it? And I kind of get frustrated with the number of times that I hear people say, Christians should not do such and such and such. And I think if we followed things that everybody told us that Christians should or should not do, we'd be exhausted and we'd be paralyzed. Some things you really have to decide for yourself. And this is one of those kinds of decisions. I remember the days when people were saying that video games themselves were wrong. Just like when I was growing up, playing cards was considered wrong for a Christian. Times have changed. But how do you really determine whether something is good for you or not? And in a sense, what do you do when somebody says Christians shouldn't be doing that? Because I've had a lot of people say Christians shouldn't have long hair. Christians shouldn't have tattoos. Christians shouldn't have piercings. What do you do with that? You have to kind of live your life. And you have to do what's good between you and God. And that's really sometimes a very personal decision. There's really no right or wrong decisions. And this kind of falls in that category, although I think we need to be honest about some video games. I remember being in London years ago at the home of a friend when he was playing some video games. And I'd really never heard some of the newer ones that were out at the time. And the one that he was playing was really profane. I mean, it had some stuff in it, some words and some visuals that I thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe he's playing that. And I asked him afterwards, I said, doesn't that bother you? And he goes, no. He says, I just don't really pay that much attention to it. And I thought, man, he must be better at it than I am because I can't help but pay attention to it. Let me tell you what I mean. Have you ever been driving down the road, listening to the radio, and a commercial comes on, one that you've heard, one that has one of those catchy jingles, and you sing along, and 3 hours later, it's still in your head. You're still kind of humming it. And I remember years ago, there was one that played over and over again on the radio, and I couldn't get it out of my head for months. I could recite it to you right now. I could sing it for you. It's been 20 years ago because it really stuck in my head. And advertisers do pay a lot of money to be able to do that with you. That's why it costs so much money to advertise like at a World Series, for instance, because they know that their ad will stick in your head to some degree. So it isn't true that you're not affected. The question is, how are you affected, and what does that do to you? When someone says I can play, satanic video games for 12 hours a day and it doesn't affect me, I just don't think that's true. And I always ask them about their spiritual lives, and there are problems. What you put in your head, honestly, stays there. It goes around in there. It doesn't just travel in and out without any comprehension at all. There are problems sometimes when you allow things to come into your head that shouldn't be there. And so here's the question I would have for you, Peter, and all of you that are playing games that you're kind of questioning. What's staying in your head? Be honest about it. Be honest about it. What is the message that's being given to you? What stays in your head? If somebody came knocking at your door and said, could I come in for a few minutes? I'd like to tell you about Satanism, or I'd like to tell you about the new sexual revolution. And as I tell you about those things, I'd like to use really bad, profane words, and I'd like to be real graphic because I have videos. You'd say, there's no way you're coming into my house. So why do we allow those things to come into our lives in the form of video games or music sometimes? It's a good question, isn't it? One that I can't answer for you. I can't make that judgment for you personally. You need to do it. But I want you to be honest about it. When you say it doesn't affect me, would you think about that a little bit? Because it does stay in your head. For me personally, I wouldn't play those games. Just like I wouldn't listen to music necessarily that is satanic in origin or that doesn't match my lifestyle. Why? Because I protect what goes into my head and I realize that it really does affect me. Peter, I hope that helps. Hope I didn't confuse you even more, but you have a decision to make, and many of you do. God bless you. Have a great day.